Welcome back, focused learners. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for another explainer. Today, we're exploring a truly fascinating paradigm shift in how we think about online trust and digital reputation. We're looking closely at a concept derived from Codatta, which introduces what we can call the architecture of compounding trust. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by how hard it is to verify who's actually reliable online, and honestly, who hasn't, this explainer is going to completely reframe how you look at digital credibility. Let's get right into it. Trust shouldn't be assigned instantly. Take a second and just let the gravity of that opening provocation sink in. Think about how we navigate the internet right now. We see a verification badge, a massive follower count, or some viral post, and boom, we instantly assign trust to that user. But the source material we're analyzing today challenges that very foundation. It points out a massive vulnerability in our current digital ecosystem. Instant trust is just fragile, unverified trust. And the alternative? Well, it's beautifully captured in this quote from the source. I believe it should be earned. It sounds so incredibly simple, right? But it actually represents a radical departure from the status quo. I really want to emphasize the stark contrast here between default, unearned authority, where trust is basically handed out like a participation trophy, and the strict necessity of actively earning your credibility over time. Trust shouldn't just be a given. It literally has to be a continuously proven asset. Section 1. The flaw of instant trust. Rethinking online authority. Okay, let's dive into this and analyze the traditional, kind of flawed metrics we currently use to gauge authority. Look at the old way of doing things. Contributors often gain this false sense of authority simply because they showed up early. Maybe they're the very first person to drop a comment in a massive Reddit thread. Or they gain it because they speak loudly, generating outrage or viral noise just to capture our attention. But in the core data ecosystem, those subjective metrics are thrown right out the window. The sole metric here is repeated accuracy. You don't get a megaphone just for being loud or being early. You get authority exclusively for being consistently correct. Which brings us to Section 2, Enter Dynamic Reputation, a network that learns. This is where we look at Codatta as the ultimate solution to this problem. So how do we actually implement a system based purely on repeated accuracy? Well, Codatta tracks reputation dynamically. And what does dynamically really mean in this context? It means trust is never static, and it's certainly never permanently assigned to a user. It's constantly in motion. It is continuously adjusting based on your ongoing behavior. If your accuracy drops, your reputation drops right along with it. Moving on to Section 3, Earning Authority Through Accuracy, the mechanics of trust. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how a network actually measures this elusive concept of trust. Here's the breakdown. Step 1. The contributor provides strong signals. Basically, this is your input into the system. Step 2. The network measures accuracy. I want you to think of the network here almost like a living, learning entity. It consistently watches these contributors, evaluating the truth of their signals. And then, Step 3. Trust adjusts dynamically. Based on that evaluation, the network recalibrates the user's trust level. It's just a constant, continuous, and completely impartial feedback loop. So, to summarize the core requirements of this system, first, it completely avoids instant assignments of trust. Second, it demands continuous accuracy from its users. Third, it outright ignores early arrival or loud voices. They just don't matter here. And finally, the network learns from strong signals. The absolutely crucial takeaway for us is that authority is born solely from repeated, ongoing accuracy, rather than some lucky one-off achievement. All of this sets the stage for Section 4, the architecture of truth, building credibility. This is where we shift our focus from the individual contributor's mechanics to the macro-level result of this entire system. And this brilliantly illustrates what we can call compounding truth. It's this rare ecosystem where repeated accuracy builds an ever-growing foundation of reliable information over time. Think about compound interest in a bank account rate, but applied to facts and reliability. Every accurate contribution pays a small dividend. So truth isn't just found, it actually compounds. It grows denser, more robust, and significantly stronger the more it gets tested by the network. Which brings us to the stark contrast of our ultimate endgame. Currently, we operate on subjective trust. We live in an era of, well, I feel like I can trust this source, which is based almost entirely on branding, aesthetics, or whoever has the loudest voice. But Codatta shifts us entirely toward measurable trust. It's a complete move away from subjective gut feelings about who to believe, moving us entirely towards concrete, measurable metrics. And that leads to an incredibly powerful conclusion. Codatta turns credibility into infrastructure. I really want to emphasize this philosophical shift because it's huge. By making trust measurable, credibility stops being a mere concept, or a fleeting feeling, or some fragile social construct. Instead, it becomes actual foundational infrastructure. It becomes the reliable tracks upon which the whole digital world can securely run. Which leads us directly to a final massive question. If trust actually becomes measurable infrastructure, what will we build on it next? Because if we can truly solve the baseline problem of truth and credibility, the potential applications for our digital future are absolutely limitless. Take a moment to ponder the massive implications of a digital world built on compounding truth. Thank you so much for joining me for this Explainer Focus Learners. Keep seeking structured knowledge, keep demanding accuracy, and I'll catch you next time.